We are Blackmore. We are St. Louis.
Since this nation was founded under God, more than 200 years ago, we have been the bastion of freedom, the light that keeps the free world aglow. We do not covet the possessions of others. We are blessed with the bounty we share. We have rushed to help other nations, anything, anytime, anywhere. War is just not our nature. We won't start, but we will end the fight. If we are involved, we shall be resolved to protect what we know is right. We have been challenged by a cowardly foe who strikes and then hides from our view. With one voice we say, we have no choice today. There is only one thing to do. Everyone is saying the same thing and praying that we end these senseless moments we are living. As our fathers did before, we shall win this unwanted war, and our children will enjoy the future we'll be giving.
Hard to believe that was 12 years ago. 9/11/2013 features the St. Louis Cardinals, the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 2 of their 3-game series, as we remember. Baseball really played such a great role in helping healing our country.
Yeah, we have some very somber memories of that particular day. In fact, the Cardinals the next 2 nights are hosting more than 16,000 first responders who were the heroes of that day and really every other day for that matter. They're going to be honored here at the ballpark. But, you know, I don't know if it was baseball so much as the venue and the pastime of baseball that connected people, and that's where the important things like healing happened.
All right, it is game number 2 here tonight, the Cardinals and the Brewers. It's Lance Lynn getting the start for St. Louis. Big start for him. We're back with more in just a moment. sensational. A sweep over the weekend for St. Louis behind Joe Kelly, Adam Wainwright, and Michael Wacha. Last night, Shelby Miller, the 22-year-old, pitching into the 7th inning. Tonight, the Cardinals turn to a former All-Star in Lance Lynn.
Been 2 different seasons for Lance Lynn. Prior to the All-Star break, Lynn had 11 wins, and he was an All-Star, pitching up and down in the strike zone. Lance Lynn was dominating at times, and he always wins when the Cardinals give him support. But in the last 6 starts, he is winless. So are the Cardinals. Too many pitches in the middle of the plate. Big innings for Lance Lynn. He has to find a way to avoid them, and he also has to find a way to handle his emotions. Big start for him and for the St. Louis Cardinals here tonight.
Yeah, big game because 2 teams in the Central have already posted wins. 2 teams chasing St. Louis. More on that in a moment. It's the Reds behind Mike Leake. 5 2/3, his career-high 13th win. Cincinnati defeats Chicago 6-0. Up next for the Reds, a 10-day, 9-game trip through Milwaukee, Houston, and Pittsburgh. Speaking of the Pirates, A.J. Burnett strikes out 7. Their 8th series sweep and 3rd on the road this season as they defeat the Texas Rangers. So what it all adds up to, Pittsburgh is a half game back of St. Louis as we start play tonight here in the Gateway City. Cincinnati 2.5 games out. A special day around Major League Baseball, a special evening as well. We remember on 9/11. for that man, Lance Lynn, trying to pick up win number 14 against Marco Estrada and the Milwaukee Brewers. Tonight, they're on Major League Baseball. We remember. Great times are waiting. Designated driver. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer or log on to stlchevy.com. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, just no equal. One of St. Louis's finest. Visiting there with Jason Mott. Blaze Ilsley, the bullpen coach of the St. Louis Cardinals. We turn to Rick Horton's Toyota keys to the game.
Our first key is how will Lance Lynn respond to what we know is a lot of pressure on him right now. He's very well aware that this is an important start for him in this Cardinal rotation, not just for his team, but for his future. Early heat on offense. I think when the Cardinals score early, they just seem to continue to score, and you'd like to see those bats get off to a bit better start than they did yesterday against Willie Peralta. They'll be facing Marco Estrada here tonight.
A look at your key starter, that is Lance Lynn. Well, as John Mozeliak said the other day, the Cardinals GM, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing, good or bad.
That's the pressure I'm talking about when your general manager says that. And Lynn knows, as we mentioned, he's been an all-star, had a good first half, so he can certainly rely on history to know that he knows how to get the job done. He just hasn't of late. Mike Matheny showing a lot of patience with him.
Aoki leads it off for the Milwaukee Brewers. As a team, they are hitting .254. Ricky Weeks not in their lineup, dealing with a severe hamstring injury, done for the year. Ryan Braun suspended, so some big bats missing. Aoki struck out 3 times last night, and he came into this series leading the league in fewest strikeouts and only striking out once per 17 at bats. 3 Ks, 2 of those against Shelby Miller last night. There's strike 2. Aoki on the year is hitting .285 with 7 home runs. He's driven in 32. Big gap in right center. Putting down those signals, it is Tony Cruz tonight, not Yadier Molina. And a strikeout to start the game. It may be a signal of things to come tonight for Lance Lynn. This lineup as a team, as we mentioned, hitting just 254. Aoki, Segura, and Lucroy. Then Ramirez, Gomez, Jeanette, Francisco, Schaefer, who homered last night, and the pitcher Estrada. Around the Horn is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, Holiday, Jay, and Beltron in the outfield. Freeze, Descalso on the left side of the infield, Carpenter and Adams on the right side. And Tony Cruz recording is behind the plate.
Well, Tony Cruz has been behind the plate in some very good outings for Lance Lynn, so these two do work well together. Cardinals certainly miss it when Yadi's not in the lineup and behind the plate, but Tony Cruz has kind of come back pretty quickly as far as I'm concerned from his fracture in his arm. They didn't think he would hit up until right around now, and he's already had some plate appearances, and he's behind the plate tonight.
We saw him in Pittsburgh. He was still wearing a cast. A couple days later, he was in a lineup. That's it out of play by Gene Segura. 2 balls and 1 strike. What do you watch for if you're Derek Lilliquist early on with Lance Lynn?
Is he pounding the strike zone? Is he confident with his fastball? Is he commanding his fastball? Everything else will kind of go off of that. But when he's searching and frustrated, it's when that fastball is not going to the intended spot. Got a good one. And the other thing you'll watch for eventually with Lance Lynn is how does he handle adversity that comes his way every game. It's going to happen to every pitcher, but how do you handle it?
Very talented guy, there's no doubt about that. All-star. That's popped up and foul out of play right below us. 3-2 the count on Segura. Yadier Molina not even at the ballpark tonight, we understand, and dealing with a family matter. Line drive and a base hit into right center. We'll see if the Brewers, nothing to lose, why not test Tony Cruz? And they've got the man to do it. Gene Segura, who has 40 steals.
Pitch location. Middle and up a bit. Segura has had a tremendous year. You mentioned his speed. I would guess they would test Tony Cruz. And we had a shot of Derek Lilliquist. I would imagine his days are a little bit more focused when Yadier Molina is not behind the plate. He probably has to work a little bit harder. Maybe Mike Matheny does too.
1 out and a runner at first. Jonathan Lucroy at the plate. Strike 1.
And controlling the running game is part of that work. The manager has to make the decision on step offs, throw overs, pitch outs, and that's the signs he's giving to the catcher. I think some folks that think that he may be giving pitch selection. That's not what they're doing. They're giving that. They're saying it's time to throw over. So when the manager gives signs, that's what he's doing. And he's going to be much more concerned about that, I think, with Yadi not behind the plate. He looks at the manager, he looks at the lead, then he goes through the motions, and he's either telling him step off, throw over, hold, or pitch to the plate.
How often, Rick, did you change your signs under Whitey Herzog?
There are times where you change them during a game if you felt that the other team was getting it. And there are also times where a player was traded to another team and you're playing that team, which would lead you to maybe change your signs.
Not running, and the pitch is taken for a ball outside. 2-1. I would assume with more video in play now, you're probably changing your signs up a little bit more.
Well, when we talk signs, there's signs that the hitters are getting now and the runners are getting that come from the third base coach. I don't think I ever even knew those. Why bother?
Right. Could be 2. Out at second. Out at first. It's a double play off the bat of Lucroy. City Royals, by the way, a big win for them today. They're now 2.5 back in the wild card. The races are heating up. It's some fun down the stretch here in September. The Cardinals have Carpenter, Jay, and Holiday. Then Beltran, Adams, and Freeze. Descalso, Cruz, the pitcher Lance Lynn. Around the Horn is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Schaefer, Gomez, Aoki. Then Ramirez and Segura on the left side of the infield. Jeanette Francisco is on the right side, and Lucroy, he is behind the plate. Marco Estrada is the starter for Milwaukee, right-hander, and he's 6-4 this year.
And he's not overpowering. He has maybe an average fastball at best, but he has a good changeup and a curveball. Not afraid to pitch in. Cardinals at times have hit him very, very well. He's been kind of a starter / reliever at times in his career, but Milwaukee's had so many injuries up and down their roster. He's become a mainstay in their rotation.
And Matt Carpenter will lead things off. He is 6th in the league in batting average at .316. Still an outside shot at a batting championship. Chris Johnson of Atlanta is hitting .330 to lead the National League. And that's ball one. You start looking at the numbers for Matt Carpenter. 113 runs, best in the NL, along with his 175 hits. Leads the league in doubles with 48 and 56 multi-hit games. You add all that up, it's a case for an MVP.
And I don't know how you add up all the little things that he does well, like working deep counts as a leadoff batter, which is part of his role.
And Carpenter pops it up down the left field line. A long way to go. This will drop for a strike. 2-1.
And even taking first to third, he's a good base runner. He's a smart player. Our BJC healthcare difference maker. Last 16 home games, average over 400. And there's the runs you're talking about. You mentioned the number of runs he scored is extremely high compared to 2, 3, 4, 5 in the league. He is way above everybody. 13 extra base hits. You wouldn't call him a power hitter, but certainly whatever the other word is for somebody who's an extra base guy, that's what he is.
And he takes a ball, and it's 3-1. I've had a lot of people ask me, do you think he could play shortstop? I said, let's not push it. I guess pressed into action, he probably could. Every day, probably not. 3-2. And Carpenter waves at it and strikes out. The tailing action may have chased a ball. And Marco Estrada gets his first out tonight.
Don't see there very much from Matt Carpenter. Chasing a pitch out of the zone. Our Plaza Tire Service replay. Such a good understanding of the strike zone, but he chased there.
The Brewers have nearly twice as many errors as St. Louis this season. They lead the National League at 103 on the year. There's John Jay, pops it foul. Jay this season hitting .266. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Milwaukee at 103, Pittsburgh 100, Washington at the century mark as well. Then LA is also in that top 5. By the way, that is I like to refer to him as the Babe Ruth of hockey. You're looking at greatness. Wayne Gretzky in the house tonight in the owner's seats. 2-1 pitch. Wayne with family that calls St. Louis home.
You
got to visit with Brett Hull last night. Wayne Gretzky's here tonight. Who's next?
Ozzie Smith. He'll be up here tonight.
This must be the place to be.
This is the place to be. The strikeout of John Jay turned into Charlie Rose during the third inning. Good pitch in on the hands of John Jay.
Well, that's what we're talking about Estrada liking to pitch inside. He ties up John Jay. You can see that's not a very free and easy swing. That ball had a little cutter movement in on the hands, and it was a strike, so he had to swing, but couldn't get the head out.
Now, we showed those errors before, and here is Matt Holliday. But baseball has seen across the board resurgence and great defense. The catch made by the left fielder, Logan Schaefer. We'll talk about that, some of those reasons, when we come back. It's photo day presented by Creve Coeur Camera, and fans can go on the field before the game. Up close photos of the players, coaches, even Fredbird. That'll be this Saturday. Get here early. Creve Coeur Camera photo day. Base hit from Milwaukee in the first inning was erased on a double play. There's no score after an inning of play. During the break, military announced and shown to the fans, and a standing ovation just moments ago. Thank you, and to our first responders for everything they do for us. Good fastball again by Lynn. Rick, I was talking about the defense and just how good it has been across the board in Major League Baseball. Before it's all said and done, it may be a record year. And some believe there's different reasons that you can look at that. Number one, the athletes being so good. But the strikeout rate is way up. It's been on the rise, so not as many balls in play. This has popped up. Something as simple as just looking at the field conditions. The only team that actually shares a field with an NFL team, the Oakland A's. Everybody else now has their own ballpark, so it's not getting beat up. That is also a factor. They think about it, at one point, Milwaukee Brewer fans remember Robin Yount playing shortstop. He had 44 errors one year. The Hall of Famer did, as a shortstop. So you're seeing some very good defensive play here in 2013 across Major League Baseball.
I find it interesting that a couple of the teams that we saw in the graphic that have a lot of errors, the Pittsburgh Pirates And the Milwaukee Brewers are teams with the most team speed. They get to more balls.
Right.
And I'm wondering if that's a factor, especially with the outfielders. You've got guys that can cover more ground. And, you know, the true measure of a defender is partially do you catch the ball, but it's also what kind of range do you have.
Well, that caught the attention of Carlos Gomez.
I thought that might have hit the bill of his cap live, but evidently not. Let's see how close it comes. Nope, doesn't. Cap flies off anyway.
Two 2-0 the count on Gomez. 280 average, 19 home runs, 57 RBIs. He himself a very good defender. Up and in again. 3-0.
Lynn has pitched at times very well against the Milwaukee Brewers. You look at his numbers in 2012 and they were terrific. This year, not as good, and a little bit of an indication of really Lynn's issues that he's had over the last couple of months. But his stuff is still there. 92, 93, and we were talking about it before the game. The velocity, his stuff, there's no question this guy has big league stuff.
A 3-1 pitch, and that's hit out to center field, and a base hit for Gomez. Scooter Gennett hitting .336. Saw that shot of Wayne Gretzky. I believe that's his son that is playing in the Cubs minor league system. Turned down a scholarship to play for Tony Gwynn at San Diego State. Very good athlete, and is in the Cubs minor league system. Never know, you may see a Gretzky playing in the big leagues. Who knows? Pretty neat to see him here at the park.
Oh, it's great. Had an opportunity to see him play a couple of times,
Wayne,
with the Blues, and at the time I remember thinking as I was taking my son to the game, you need to understand who you're getting a chance to watch play here.
he's the Babe Ruth of his sport, and his records, many of them, will never ever be broken. It will not happen. The game has changed too much. One ball, one strike. A sad day when he left St. Louis for hockey fans, and Steve Yzerman put one over the shoulder of John Casey. You may remember Game 7 against Detroit, and that was the last that we saw of number 99 wearing the blue note. He went to the Rangers, finished up his career there, and off to the Hall of Fame. One out, runner at first. And it's 2-1 on Scooter Gennett. 24 pitches are ready to get 4 outs. He's given up a couple of base hits, does have a double play behind him. That's also one of the factors here with Lance Lynn. A lot of deep counts.
This guy's become a tough out too. We've seen some good at bats from Gennett. We mentioned he was their best player in the month of August. Mentioned that last night. He hit over 400. Just 23 years of age. Not a high draft choice.
Just missed on the outside corner.
That's where the scouts make their money, Dan, is picking the guys in the 16th round, the 18th round, the 20th round that are not the obvious choice that everybody knows about. You go out and you find a Matt Adams somewhere that can help you at the big league level, or Scooter Gennett, and a scout has a job and has a little job security.
And there's a walk. First walk issued by Lynn. That's where the Cardinals have made hay in the draft. You know, guys like a Matt Adams, not a top tier choice, but they found a way to draft them, develop them, and then get them to the big leagues.
Don't get me wrong, you want to get those right too.
Right.
I mean, you want to pick the right guy number one and the right guy number two, but really where a team often becomes differentiated from another organization is the ones that can fill in with those other big league, solid big league players that maybe don't have the flash and the 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Juan Francisco struck out well over 100 times this year, but he does have power. 18 home runs, 47 RBIs.
Here's where you really watch Lance Lynn. Couple runners on, walked a batter, which put a runner in scoring position after a base hit. You watch his mound demeanor. You watch, does he continue to pound the strike zone? Does he make the pitch he needs to get out of this? Or does it get worse? That's kind of the tipping point for him. Which way does he go? He's very well aware of that, by the way. This is not a big secret, and it's not that he's not trying. That's what competitors do. They want to. He wants to finish this inning. I promise you that. And the question is how. You got a guy that strikes out a lot here. Finish him off.
0-2 pitch. Here it comes. Got him. Fastball. Blew it by him. The second strikeout for Lance Lynn.
So you walk to the back of the mound and you say, okay, my work's not done here. Yeah, that was a good pitch. I belong out here. I'm good. You almost have to do a little self-talk. That's positive. And now you think, how do I get Logan Schaefer out?
Logan Schaefer came off the bench last night. He had a home run. Two outs and two on. A check swing for ball one. The pitcher Marco Estrada is on deck. Runners go, and a throw down to second. Gets away into center field, and scoring, it's Gomez. 1-0 Milwaukee. Descalso may have been in too much of a hurry to make the tag and miss the baseball, and it's 1-0 Brewers.
Brewers aggressively running on that pitch, and Daniel Descalso thinks he still has the baseball there, and you got to secure the ball first. There's Gomez. Cruz knows he can't get him, so he tries to get the trail runner. He makes the right choice, the right throw, and Descalso just doesn't make the play.
To me is where now you really watch Lance Lynn. Play not made behind him, should be out of the inning, and now he goes to 3-0 on Schaefer. First base open, pitcher on deck. So the second walk in the inning brings in Marco Estrada. If Lance Lynn, Rick, is not in your plans for the rotation once postseason play gets here, barring a collapse, the Cardinals are headed to postseason play. Is Lance Lynn figuring in your plans out in the bullpen? He's done it before. He can make that transition.
Well, I don't see why he wouldn't be in their plans to be out of the pen. You're going to need 4 starters probably in the playoffs one way or another, and there's still a lot of time between now and then as to who they are, but certainly he's an option to be in the bullpen. He's done it before, and he's done it well.
for a while. Remember, the talk was that maybe we were looking at the future closer of the Cardinals a couple of years ago. So good out of the bullpen in 2011. All-Star in 2012, got off to a very good start this year. Some of that due to the fact that he had great run support, but still picked up the wins. Two outs, two on. 0-2 the count on Estrada.
Still think it an odd time for the Brewers to run with 2 outs and runners at first and second. If they were safe, then all you're going to do is walk Schaefer and pitch to the pitcher anyway. So I'm not sure that was a good baseball move. But it worked. And it worked because it forced a Cardinal error. Perhaps a different story if you know you're going to be safe and there's very little risk involved in it. Gomez had a great jump off a second.
The 2-2 hit out of play.
Lance Lynn has to be fighting right now this thought of he really hasn't had a huge problem here. He had a base hit, walked a batter, struck out a batter, was 1 pitch away from getting out of it, and should be out of it. There should be 2 zeros on the board. He should be sitting down, but that feeling of being snake bit kind of creeps in, and you start thinking, uh-oh, bad things keep happening.
Strikeout of Estrada. Brewers with a double steal, then the air. Have taken the lead with a ball that went into center field. Coming up, one of the game's best switch hitters, it's Carlos Beltran when we come back. Your neighborhood hometown grocer. Go big at a participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax. And buy 5-hour energy shots. We'll talk to Ozzie Smith coming up next inning. Big fundraiser he has for the local Gateway section of the PGA. It's called Ozzie and Friends. So we'll talk it over with Ozzie in the 3rd inning here tonight. It's Beltran, Adams, and David Freese. Carlos, 8th in the league with 23 home runs. And that pitch is taken low and outside. Talking with John Mozeliak, the Cardinals GM, asked in the last 48 hours about Carlos Beltran and his future with the club. He said this will be a very difficult decision for us. Will there be enough playing time for Beltran next year in St. Louis? By all accounts, you will see Oscar Taveras, barring injury, playing coming out of spring training. The Cardinals will be very aggressive in pushing him to be part of the big league club next year. And as it always comes down to dollars. Leadoff walk to Carlos Beltran. And the Cardinals, along with Beltran, the main thing in thinking about what he's been able to do is keep himself healthy and on the field. Something the Mets did not see in his final 3 years in New York. And now it's Matt Adams, who's hitting .266. The shift is on for Adams. I don't know how much the big man bunts, but if he can push one up the third base line, it's a base hit.
We saw him run in this series, didn't we?
He said to Jim Hayes afterwards, I took the piano off my back and scored that run. That was last night. He has seen an awful lot of changeups, but as the season has gone on, he's made the adjustment to that pitch. First pitch is strike with the changeup.
Hitting it a lot better, and really that comes from recognizing it quickly enough and keeping your hands back. A lot of it is trying to keep your body back, your weight back, because your power comes from the backside, but you also want to make sure your hands are back.
0-2.
And one of the issues of being back with your hands is sometimes you're late on the fastball, as he was there. And that was a fastball swing where he might have been looking off speed. A little slower to pull the trigger. And that's what the pitcher's trying to do, stay one step ahead of him.
Check on Carlos Beltran. We saw last night Beltran run as well as we have seen him run maybe all year. 2 outs, took second base in a ball that scooted away. Turned it up a notch or two.
There was speed and instinct in that particular play.
You bet. Here's the 0-2. Taken high. David Freese is on deck. And the check and a short lead by Beltran. Look at this, just sticking the bat out, hits it down the right field line, and it is called a foul ball. Foul ball, and Matheny will come out and argue. Maloney is arguing. Adams can't believe it.
Chris Guccione is the first base umpire. Mike Matheny giving him an earful right now. And who's right? He's not. Mike Matheny is right. That ball hit right off the line. Should have been a fair ball.
And they're going to ask the home plate umpire to help him out here.
I don't know how you call that fair, though, because where do you put the runners? It's one of the problems of instant replay. You can guess at it, but it's never going to be fully fair. Adams might be on second base.
I give the umpires credit for at least coming together to discuss the situation. Replay looked like it was the wrong call.
Tom Hallion is the crew chief, and he's going to be leading the discussion and leading the decision.
But this has got to be coming with the input of the home plate umpire, correct? Phil Cuzzy on this.
That's whose opinion has to have some weight, but the crew chief is really going to have to kind of lead the what's right and what's wrong here, including where do you put the runners. It's a long conversation, which leads me to think that it's possible that they'll overturn it. It's a long meeting right here.
Ron Renicky is now moving to the top step. He's ready to argue when they overturn this call.
Ron Kulpa, the second base umpire, knows the answer. He's back, but he's not telling anybody. And it looks like they're going to call it a foul ball. Beltran heading back to first base, and Adams is going to have to see what he can do. That's clearly a fair ball. One of the problems of replay in general, not that it can't be worked on and there can't be a solution, but one of the problems of replay in general is so many things happen in continuation in baseball. So let's say that ball got away from Aoki and went into the left center field, and they call it foul and all the runners stop, and then everybody else, then you do the review and find that it's fair. What's the fair solution to how you handle the continuation of that play? It would have to be kind of a subjective opinion, I guess, at that point, but you're going to get arguments on that too.
2-2 the count here on Adams. Runner at first is Beltran, nobody out. Home half of the second. The 2-2 taken high.
That's a big miss any way you slice it for the first base umpire, because regardless of where Adams was going to be, Beltran was going to be on third with nobody out.
He is running. The 3-2 pitch is taken low and gets away. Beltran to second, and he'll stop there. So it's a walk to Adams, back-to-back walks to start this second inning. Nightly on Fox Sports Live, you can join Jay Onright and Dan O'Toole, along with Donovan McNabb, Andy Roddick, Carissa Thompson. Bring you all the scores, news, highlights you need. It's Fox Sports 1. So runners at first and second. Lengthy conversation with Matt Adams and the first base umpire.
I noticed that as well, and I'm not sure if that was a mea culpa or not.
Here is David Freese with 2 runners on. A breaking ball and a strike. Chris Maloney got what was on his mind off his chest with the first base umpire, and Matt Adams as well. No balls and 2 strikes.
There's the conversation we're talking about. They're listening. Seem to be pretty cordial.
Really? Looked to be pretty one-sided. First base umpire Chris Guccione looked like he was giving it to Matt Adams. You don't think so?
No, I think he was saying, look, I did the best I could. That's how I saw it. I'm sorry. He just did it in an animated way.
I didn't see it that way.
Want me to go ask him?
We can't after the game tonight.
Why would he be giving it to Matt Adams?
I think Adams was frustrated, and it looked like Guccione was saying, look, this is how I saw it, but I'm not going to hear any more about it.
Well, I did not see it that way, and we're just going to have to ask him. Where's Jim Hayes when you need him? Where is he? He should have been on the field listening in.
That 3 a.m. game against Kansas City, he was on the field, and Yachty had to shoo him away. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Get off the field. That's up the middle. Segura on a play. Out at second. On to first. Oh, it's a double play. 6-4-3. Segura, Jeanette, and Francisco. Saves a run. Takes a hit away, and they turn 2.
That's a terrific play by the shortstop, Segura. And there's the range we're talking about. Speed, range, and athletic flip. Off-balance throw. Wow, what a play this is. And good call at first.
Descalso pops it up, and it's out of play. We're going to visit with Ozzie Smith. You know, he appreciates this. Great defense.
He would have caught that, done a little flip, landed on his feet, thrown it behind his back, and they would have turned 3. Well, we mentioned it, Dan, but go back to the reality. That ball is called fair. The Cardinals have tied this game.
Absolutely. It's 1-1.
Do I sound bitter the way I said that?
Fairly matter of fact.
Okay.
Just like Chris Guccione in his conversation. Gomez had to leap, and he makes the catch. Gene Segura, outstanding play defensively with the glove, but Ozzie Smith, known for the glove and this. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. The Wizard coming up next. For St. Louis as we move to the top of the third. And it's always fun to have some of the greats in St. Louis Cardinals history stop on by, and we get the best shortstop that ever played this game at Ozzie Smith. Always good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You look good.
Well, thank you. I'm working at it. Ricky Horton's working with me, and but it's getting there.
You got any eligibility left?
Maybe an inning and a half.
We'll throw you out there. Did you see that play by Segura?
That was pretty good. Stayed in his glove too long, though.
Yeah, of course you'd say that. You would have flipped it behind your back, and Ricky said, well, you probably would have turned 3.
Yeah, well, that was those were the good old days.
There's a base hit into right for Aoki, the leadoff man for the Milwaukee Brewers. And what a career it was, and what a guy he has been for St. Louis. Great citizen, Ozzie Smith. The games played, the hits, 262 average, 580 steals, often overlooked. All the assists and the putouts for Ozzie. February 11th, 1982, a date in which your life changed, Gary Templeton's life changed, and for the Cardinals, it changed the fortunes of this franchise.
I'm looking at this stat here.
Which one?
The one postseason home run.
That's it. That's a pretty big one, though.
That was a pretty big one. It's all about timing.
Absolutely. But I think back to that date, and at that point in time, you were a .231 hitter when you came to St. Louis, and you completely changed yourself. What turned the corner for you offensively when you were trying to turn things around offensively as being not just a glove man?
It was really just about getting the opportunity, first of all. Generally, when you come into the league as notably as a defensive player, not good offensively, then they send you back to the minor leagues to learn the art of hitting. But my defensive prowess allowed me to remain here at the big league level to learn the art of hitting. Whitey Herzog gave me a challenge when I came over here to keep the ball out of the air, which is something that I had never really been taught. You know, when I got to the big leagues, I could make a lot of contact, but didn't understand how to stay on top of the ball. So it was about understanding and willing to put in the hard work, and it all paid off in the end.
Here's a ground ball that's hit to short. Descalso gets the lead man, barely. Aoki off the base paths. And to Descalso's right is a guy named David Freese, who grew up here in St. Louis. David Freese idolized Ozzie Smith. Did you know that?
Yeah, we've developed quite a friendship through the years, and David is one of those players. It's always nice to have a player that's a hometown player that is productive, and you know, David's just one of those guys that he knows how to play the game. He's had some injuries and stuff that's kept him out, but he has a real good understanding of the game. Good baseball IQ.
There's a breaking ball by Lynn to Jonathan Lucroy. Ozzie, you're back in uniform in spring training. I know as a fan and a guy that grew up here, it's important for our fan base to see you back with the club. What's it mean to you?
It means everything. It gives me an opportunity to, of course, spend some time with the guys that I spend a lot of time on the field with, namely Willie McGee, for one. Jimmy Edmonds is down there, and it's just fun being around those guys. Now, I spend those 2 weeks down there, and then I get out of the way. That way I can't get blamed for anything.
Right.
But it's a great 2 weeks, and we have a lot of fun, and we enjoy it. I think the young players, get a chance to.
There's Cruz, and a throw to second. That time, Descalso holds on, and that's on number 2.
Yes. But, the young players get a chance to see some of the guys that have been such a part of this organization, and Willie and I enjoy spending time with the minor leaguers. With the veteran players, guys that have won before, what I try to do is, in spending time with, we go to dinner, and we sit down and talk a lot of baseball. I think it's very, very important to talk the game of baseball, and I think they get a lot out of that, and I have fun doing that.
It's important, though, I think, that people understand how great it is to have you back. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Also, Ozzie has a big fundraiser coming up. We'll visit with that and about that as well with Ozzie Smith. Smith ranging to his left and on the turf. There's that flip. Von Hayes robbed on that play back in 1986. How did you make that play? The Von Hayes play is the most ridiculous play anybody's ever seen. How did you not break your neck on that play?
Well, Kurt Ford remembered to go to his right. I was going to my right, and in that particular play there, when a left-hander hits a ball to the outfield like that, the ball's going to be going back to my left. I knew that, and stuff. And so it's one of those things from a communication standpoint that we had talked about. If we come in on a short play like that, if I dive to my right, he dives to his right, the only thing will hit our arms. And he remembered, so he stayed low and went right.
You better have a lot of trust.
Oh, yeah.
That he remembered that conversation.
No, we had a...
If not, Ozzie Smith doesn't happen.
That's right. That's one of the things that, the great things about the teams that we played on. I think the thing that contributed to our success was the fact that we communicated very well.
Now, you were a 4 handicap, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Ozzie?
Yes.
You're going out to a lot of people nationwide, worldwide. You're a 4 handicap.
4.
Okay.
Yeah. Look it up.
You're a 4.
I'm a 4.
Okay. Now, you have gotten the golfing bug since 96. Here's Tony Cruz at the plate. 96, your final year. You're retired. Hall of Fame right after that. And in that time, though, you took up golf, and all of a sudden, Ozzie Smith has become a 4.
Well, you know what? It didn't all of a sudden become a 4. We're sitting here. Yeah, we're here in 2013, and from 96 to it's a long time.
I understand.
A lot of swings, a lot of calluses, and stuff. But I approached it the same way I approached my baseball game.
You work hard at it. The PGA Gateway Section Foundation. You have Ozzie and Friends coming up. It's a benefit for the Gateway PGA Foundation. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, last year when we had the Senior PGA Championship here, the PGA wanted us to come up with an initiative that would introduce the game of golf to kids in the inner city who would otherwise not have the opportunity. Growing up in South Central Los Angeles, I certainly did not have the opportunity to play the game of golf. So along with the members at Belle Reve and the Gateway chapter of the PGA, we teamed with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis, and a group called Urban K-Life. And these are groups that are already doing great work with young people in the inner city. And we felt that we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so we decided that we would partner with them and help them through benefits to raise money to continue to do the good work that they're doing. And one of the ways that we do that, we have a golf tournament every year. This year, for the first time, I'm trying a concert with all my friends, starting with my son, Nico, who is an American Idol alum.
Yeah, I noticed that guy, Nico Smith, is on the list.
That's right. Theo Peoples, who is a native here. Tim Cunningham, who's also a native from here. And my good friend, Henry Cho, the comedian. So September 28th at the Chesterfield Amphitheater, we're going to have fun, a lot of laughs and enjoyment, and raise some money for a good cause. And all the money that's raised from this benefit is going to go to an initiative. The initiative being that in 2018, when we have the 100-year PGA Championship here, hopefully we will have a 9-hole golf facility, multi-recreational facility built in the inner city.
That's
that
awesome.
Kids can go and hopefully become better citizens, because in talking to the superintendent of schools, we realized that one of the biggest problems with kids in the inner city is idle time.
Did you get more nervous watching your son perform, or was it tougher to perform in front of 50,000?
This is what I did, so I could control this. But, them performing, and my other son is still chasing his dream of playing baseball. He's playing independent baseball, played in Hawaii this year, got a chance to go to Japan, so
sure.
I wish I'd had those opportunities, but he's continuing to try and play. And of course, Nico is performing all around the city and stuff, and watching them perform it's always very tough because you don't control that.
How proud do you get?
Get butterflies.
I mean, when you're watching American Idol and he's popping up.
It was great, and I tried to stay out of that, because a lot of times when parents have been successful at something, they, right away people look at the parents and all the focus is on me. I wanted that to be on him. He got to that point with all of his hard work and dedication and stuff, and I'm very, very proud of him.
We're going to make sure and visit with this And with the dates and where to go all game long, and we'll make sure we get that word out. Okay, Oz?
GatewayPGA.org/home.
We'll do it a bunch. Favorite way to keep cool: cold beverage, ice cream, dip in the pool, running through the sprinkler. The AT Twitter poll tonight.
You want to know my answer? I got a cold beverage in one hand, an ice cream in another, and I'm jumping in the pool.
Hey, they all work.
All of the above.
It's been hot.
I agree.
It has been hot, hot here in St. Louis. Understand a break in the weather is coming up later in the week. Seattle will be here, and we'll have all those games on Fox Sports Midwest. And we were hoping to see the return of Brendan Ryan to St. Louis, but he was traded to the Yankees. Off the end of the bat and through Lynn, charging, barehanded Carpenter, and he makes the play. Ramirez is thrown out.
That whole play was stuck in the mud.
I think he did get a piece of it, so 1-4-3 on the play.
Whoops.
Good play, Matt Carpenter. That wasn't easy.
It was not.
In steps Carlos Gomez.
That was great to have Ozzie up here, wasn't it?
Awesome.
Got a lot of texts from our buddies. Tom Lawless said he found out Ozzie's real handicap, so they're going to have some talking to do.
I said I just cost you a lot of money. You realize that?
That's right.
It's the Chesterfield Amphitheater. And again, it's a Saturday night, September 28th. GatewayPGA.org. GatewayPGA.org. And every 13th ticket purchased receives a Ozzie Smith Gold Glove bobblehead.
Went with the Lawlesses and Ann and I and the Van Slikes to see Nico perform not that long ago, and he does a great job. So for folks who've not had a chance to see Nico Smith and his act, find out where he is and go see him. He does a great job. Very entertaining.
Between innings, Ozzie said, man, you're getting to visit with all the greats. He said, I watched Hall last night. He said, you know, the great ones here. I said, yeah, we showed them down there. And he said, yeah, I play golf with them all the time. No big deal. Really? Okay.
We're going to call this our Hall of Fame inning, the third inning.
I'm in.
And we'll see if we can find a Hall of Famer for you every third inning. Red changings, we've had
Red. I visit with you between innings 1, 2, and 4 through 9. As the play is made.
You could take an inning away from me to talk to a Hall of Famer. I think we're all better because of it. I love the interviews. I like to hear what they have to say.
Oh, it's great. So much fun having a chance to visit with them.
How about Ozzie saying, and I was listening very carefully to a couple things he said that I thought were just great baseball comments. He made the comment that baseball people like to sit around and talk baseball. He said when he goes to spring training, you think, well, what does he do? Talk about technique and how to hold the glove and position your feet. He said he likes to go to dinner with the players and talk baseball. And that is an extremely important skill in this game, to be able to learn about the nuances by being around baseball people like Ozzie Smith. And I found that to be a fascinating way to put it, and probably the best use of his time in spring training. There's seeing him in uniform, yes. And yes, he can help you kind of with the mechanics, but preparation, attitude, experience, I mean, that's where he's really the king.
I think it's great. I said this in the interview. I think it's important, and I think it's great that he's back with the organization. I mean, it's no secret he and Tony La Russa did not get along, and he was away from the team while Tony was the manager. And now that Mike is, one of the first things that Mike did was reach out to those involved with Cardinal baseball over the years, the Hall of Famers, and said, look, it's an open door. We want you at spring training. We want you to be a part of this. Anytime you want to come down, the clubhouse is open. Come to spring training. This smart move by Mike. I think it's great that he's back. There's a liner out to left that drops in for a hit. Scooter Gennett on his way to second base. Scooter Gennett has made quite the impression. The front office of the Milwaukee Brewers. A 2-out double. And it brings in Juan Francisco.
Cruz wanted it down. It was up and away. He was able to slap it into that left field corner. Gennett has surprising power, too. He doesn't look like a power hitter. Looks more like a slap hitter to me, but 6 home runs, 18 RBIs in limited play.
How about the fact that Ozzie said that he had spoken to Kurt Ford about that particular play in case it popped up?
That's the other thing.
Are you kidding me?
Wow. So preparation. Ozzie used to practice plays. He used to practice great plays. And he would do it on the AstroTurf at Old Busch Stadium. And he would have Hal Lanier at the time, and I'm back to the early 80s, 1984, hit him bullets. And then he would have him hit him line drives while Ozzie was on his knees, because he just wanted to be able to get the feel of his glove on the ground, and he wanted to just kind of take the feet out for a second and just see the ball. And then he would practice high choppers, and he would make, I remember many times having Nick Leyva just pound the ball and Rich Hacker pound the ball into the ground so he could practice getting the ball at its apex and coming down and throwing in one smooth motion, because he knew sooner or later there'd be a play just like that. And so I thought the same thing. The preparation on that play with Kurt Ford, extraordinary.
Were teammates in awe of him like the fans?
No question about it. Ozzie was.
When you're around a teammate, it's a little different than a fan coming once.
He's a teammate.
Couple weeks.
He's a teammate, but he was a different teammate. He was a teammate that was on another level.
Yeah.
And there are very few guys in the clubhouse. I always listen for the guys that say, you know, we think that, well, we feel, and I always hated saying that because I felt like I didn't have the right to speak for everybody else, but Ozzie did.
Strikeout of Francisco, and Lance Lynn has 6 tonight. makes it 1-0. Meanwhile, Lance Lynn has settled in. He has struck out 6 this evening. It's 9-11, and tonight we remember. Leads it off for St. Louis. So Lance Lynn here tonight with 6 strikeouts.
Been very good. He really should have 4 zeros on the board too. And the run that he did allow was unearned, and the Cardinals that did not do or have not done what we were hoping they would do, bring the heat early. Yes, it's a hot day at the ballpark, but not a lot of offensive heat from the Cardinals through 3, and very similar to the game here last night. Willie Peralta did not give up a hit until the 6th inning. Cardinals don't have a hit yet tonight, and they're in the 4th.
John Jay struck out first time up. It's a privilege to do this job, and then folks like Brett Hall, Red Shane, Ozzie Smith pop up, and sometimes you say, what am I doing here? Love it. 2 balls and 1 strike on Jay, now up to 2-2. Little tapper up the first base line, and John Jay is 0 for 2. The video game that puts you in the owner's suite, it's now available free on iPhone and iPad. Build your stadium, make the decisions to guide your team to the World Series. Download MLB Ballpark Empire free today. Data and usage rates may apply. The DeWitts with Wayne Gretzky. Cardinals president Bill DeWitt is quite the hockey fan as Holiday skies one into left field. Slipping just a bit, but making the play, Logan Schaefer. Matter of fact, Wayne and Bill III have played an awful lot of golf together. Replace your divot.
Pitch location up and in. A lot of teams like to pitch Matt Holliday up in the zone. Really is a good low ball hitter from the right side, and pretty much hit his spot there. Matt could not get his arms extended. Talked about how Estrada likes to pitch inside. He's done a good job of that so far.
The breaking ball that's taken low and a strike. Difference in this game. An error by Descalso. What would have been an inning ending caught stealing, and then the missed call, we believe, down the right field line, and a ball that looked to be fair by Adams. That error was given to Tony Cruz on the throw.
Certainly a catchable ball. Regardless, it's the difference in this game, that and the foul ball / fair ball off the bat of Matt Adams.
And a swing and a miss on a changeup by Estrada. Strikeout number 5. military personnel. The Cardinals, free tickets tonight and again tomorrow. Cardinals.com/heroes. And a number of those first responders and military have taken advantage of those free tickets. We invite you to do so at Cardinals.com/heroes. What a great way to recognize those that protect our freedoms.
And we hope they're meeting some new friends here at the ballpark and getting plenty of thank yous, votes of confidence, messages of appreciation. And as we said earlier, they're heroes every day.
Here's Logan Schaefer. If you go back and look at Lance Lynn, last handful of starts have been against teams that do have some pretty good lefties in their lineup. And that's where he has had some issues. Left-handers, but tonight, Scooter Gennett got him for a double, left stranded back in the fourth. Francisco, lefty at bat, struck out twice, and he walked Schaefer. And that's fouled back. Nothing at two.
Looks like he has a pretty good idea, Dan, of what he's trying to do tonight. He's trying to elevate that fastball to get strikeouts, and he's had plenty of those. And he much more aggressive, I would say, in his mound presence. He's coming at the plate with his mechanics, and the pitch count's not bad. In fact, it's good.
The 0-2, a check swing. Did not go.
You know, there's always something in this game that you're not going to be pleased with when you start looking at your performance. And part of being able to compete here, how about that pitch? Perfectly thrown on the inner half for another strikeout for Lance Lynn. But you have to minimize in your mind some of those negative things and find a way to just continue to be positive.
That's 7 strikeouts for Lynn. Well, McDonald's has topped the quarter pounder. Bacon Habanero Ranch, the BLT, the Deluxe, and the Bacon and Cheese. 4 more quarter pounders to love only at McDonald's. And a strike to Marco Estrada.
So an error is made behind you, or a bounce goes the wrong way, you get a bad call by an umpire, ball slips out of your hand, you almost hit Gomez. I mean, those things happen every day. So are those the things you dwell on, or do you dwell on the fact that you've got 7 strikeouts and you're working pretty well in the 5th inning of a game and only 1 unearned run? And that's what's going on in the mind. That you're fighting those demons and trying to stay as positive as possible.
2-1 the count.
Lance has been good at home, like most Cardinal starters have been.
Cardinals really a different team at home, and they have beat up on the sub-500 teams. 18 games remaining for St. Louis, including tonight. 15 of the 18 against sub-500 teams. Taken just a bit high, and it's 3-2. Pitch count at 72 for Lynn. Very shallow in the outfield, big gap in left center, and a foul ball.
15, 16 pitches in innings, not bad. That'll get you through 7 innings. Maybe 8, 7+ innings in a normal start. So you throw, I mean, you prefer to be a little less than that, but 15, 16 an inning, I think, is a comfortable number, and he's right around that pace.
Another strikeout. That's number 8. Blues training camp opens up tomorrow at Scott Trade Center. We'll be there See all the players and coaches get ready for Blues hockey. stlouisblues.com for all the practice information, the full schedule. And we hope to see you tomorrow at Scott Trade Center, stlouisblues.com. Our friend Chris Kerber and John Kelly, Kelly Chase, Darren Pang all getting ready for what should be an entertaining season.
96. Throwing harder than he did in inning number 1.
You see that sometimes with guys that can get it up there to the mid high 90s. It takes them a little while to get things going. There's a good breaking ball. Aoki taps it foul, and it's 0-2.
Finding the right release point, the right rhythm in your mechanics, I think is part of that.
The first base coach, third base coach, why do they even put those boxes down? They're out of the coach's box. Aoki puts it in play. A little chopper, tough play here. Descalso gloves, throws, and that's not in time. Single, and he is 2 for 3.
Frustrating moment here for Lance Lynn. He's got 2 quick outs and a little chopper, and he knows right now that that's going to be a hit. So his reaction, a little frustrated.
Here is Gene Segura with 2 outs. Nice play, Tony Cruz to his right.
That was not an easy play. He had to really shift quickly and square his body up, and did not have much time to react. Sees it's way outside, so he has to try to square up. And look at both feet moving. That's a long way from home plate where he blocked that ball.
Jose Fernandez officially shut down after tonight, so 172 plus innings and a 2.91 ERA. Just might be your rookie of the year. Tip ball scoots away.
Wonder if Tony Cruz was crossed up on that. He's going to go out and talk to Lance Lynn. Called a wild pitch. Just about ready to say maybe Gretzky might think that Tony Cruz would make a pretty good goalie, and I bet that's what he's talking about when he saw that nice blocked pitch on the right side of the plate. Goalies have to be quick like that. Some similarities. Catchers and goalies.
Two and 0 the count. Rick, there aren't many that have played at this level that they change the game because of what you do. Bob Gibson, 68. Wayne Gretzky, the actual goal, he would set up shop behind the net. Just move back, then move forward again. I mean, he was just awesome. Nice pitch on the outside corner. I mean, think about that. At this level, and you're the guy that, or at least the main reason why they change a portion of the rules.
Got to be humbling, isn't it? Wow. Wilt Chamberlain had that experience.
Segura reached on a 3-2, a single. He's also hit into a fielder's choice. A check swing, and he went.
Now he's going to have to put his stuff back on.
The intimidation of Matt Adams, forcing Chris Guccione to give him that strike.
I've wondered whether or not there would be a. I don't know if that's a.
Is that a reach?
A repay or not? I don't know. I mean, only he knows. you may not even know now that I think about it. Sometimes subconsciously you're kind of tend to go towards the other area. It's not so much a blatant makeup call as a subconscious one.
And a strikeout of Segura. Lynn strikes out the side. He has struck out 9 tonight. To score on a double steal. Lance Lynn is struck out 9 in a very important start for him. 9/11/2013. Tonight across baseball, we remember. For the kids, 48 inches and under, a game ticket. You'll get a free Six Flags ticket. Also a Prairie Farms ice cream sundae. That's free ice cream before the game while supplies last. And after the game, kids can run the bases. That'd be great to have Darren Pang come and get that free Six Flags ticket.
Oh boy, Panger, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but that was kind of funny. I was thinking of Tommy Lawless. You're thinking of Darren Pang.
Ouch.
I just say that because he's my buddy. He did hit a big home run, you know.
Very big.
As you talk about postseason home runs, the Wizard hit one. Tom Lawless had one of those moments, and he will be forever remembered in Cardinal history for that home run off of Frank Viola in the '87 World Series. 331 feet to left field.
And the wall was how many feet?
330.
Yeah, okay. His reaction, though, you would have thought it was 800 feet.
Flipped the bat like he was Babe Ruth, and
the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Here's a 3-2 to Adams.
Jose Oquendo had a big postseason home run against the San Francisco Giants.
That was Game 7, and that's a home run that's often overlooked, and how big that home run was.
You think all three of those guys, not really noted to be power hitters, but they rose to the occasion.
Adams swing and a miss as he strikes out.
You just wonder who's going to rise to the occasion this year. A lot to look forward to. I love playoff baseball. The Cardinals, as you mentioned, barring a big collapse there, he waves at that fastball out of the zone. Barring a big collapse, there's going to be some more heroes made this October. But very much looking forward to that. And they sometimes come from unlikely sources. David Freese knows the feeling.
Swings at a breaking ball that was about 2 feet in front of the plate. You know, David Freese It all began against the Phillies. The division series, he had a home run hit off of Roy Oswalt. Tony La Russa later told me that on his way to the ballpark, he was going to sit David Freese that night. And who knows what may have been. He said, I was going to give him one more shot. And sure enough, David Freese caught fire and became a postseason hero. And Freese hits a fly ball into right field. Aoki near the line and makes a play. Cardinals without a hit tonight.
We talked about that some last night, Dan. The decision-making mentality that a manager has to go through to determine not only the lineup but the in-game moves, when to get the pitcher, when to hit and run, and the fact that you want to get help from your bench coach. In Cardinals case, it's Mike Aldretti who's offering suggestions, but the wheels start turning. I mean, they started turning about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and they're not going to stop. But there's a lot of things that are going to happen managerial-wise from the 5th inning to the 9th. And I talked to Mike Aldretti about what we talked about last night, and he said, yeah, that's exactly what he tries to do, offer those suggestions. The manager has to make the choice, and it's a good move if the players execute. It's a bad move if they don't, and that's the reality of baseball.
Rick, I was on the Cardinals cruise with Mike Matheny this past off season, and Mike on his iPad had the Washington series as he went back and looked at that. And I said, why are you looking at the Washington series? I said, the outcome was pretty good, Mike. You can move on. And he just laughed. He said, but you know, you go back and you look at what might have been in different scenarios. He said the game is very fast down there, clearly. But it is something that he wanted to go back and relive and take a hard look at. What could he have done differently? And one of those postseason heroes of the run last year is at the plate right now. Unlikely source in Daniel Descalso. Daniel hits it hard to the right side. Nice play. Scooter Gennett takes a hit away from the Cardinals shortstop. The defense outstanding tonight for Milwaukee. Allowing Carlos Gomez to score on a double steal. Lance Lynn has struck out 9 in a very important start for him. 9/11/2013. Tonight, across baseball, we remember. Along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes with us, our Fox Sports Midwest crew. 87 degrees, warm evening. Cardinals, no hits tonight. 1-0 Milwaukee. Jonathan Lucroy at the plate.
Still pumping strikes.
Lynn much better tonight. However, the blown call is what stands out. Chris Guccione. Would seem to be a fair ball off the bat of Adams. You never know. Maybe turns into a big inning for St. Louis, but most certainly a run.
You'd have to say they would have at least scored a run. There would have been runners at first and third. Aoki actually played the ball well off the wall, so Adams probably would have held it first, although he stopped when the umpire said foul ball right as he was rounding first base. But Beltran didn't hear all that, so he was on third. That we know for sure. And then Freese, and you can't really assume the same thing would have happened, but David Freese hit a ground ball up the middle, and even if that's a double play, same scenario, it's still 1-1.
One ball and 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 10 for Lance Lynn.
Wow.
Aramis Ramirez is 0 for 2 tonight. Good tight breaking ball here. One out, nobody on, and a pitch is taken for a ball. Ramirez popped out to first and hit a slow roller back to Lynn. Went right through his legs. Then had to be barehanded by Carpenter to make the play. Went 1-for-3.
Play we're talking about, that ball hits right on the line. Beltran would have made it to third. The throw comes into second base. Adams had stopped by that time. Turn wasn't very smooth with Carlos Beltran at second base, but he still was going to make it there. So bad break for St. Louis. And it hurts even more because it's 1-0 after 5.
Still, though, doesn't change the Cardinals trailing in this game now with no hits. Nothing other than what should have been a hit.
Interesting, the second baseman. The shortstop, however, was trying to be the cutoff man, and the throw was coming into first. He was confused also.
Ramirez into deep left center. That'll stay in the ballpark as the catch is made by Jay. What's on Tap is brought to you by Budweiser. It's Lynn here tonight, and tomorrow Joe Kelly. He really got things going for the Cardinals Friday night to start this homestand against Pittsburgh. We'll come your way at 6:30 with the pregame show.
He wasn't that good. He gave up an earned run.
There's the changeup grip. That changeup has been so good for him this year.
And I say that because the last 3 Cardinal starters haven't.
2 outs and nobody on. First pitch is popped up by Carlos Gomez. Playable in foul territory and taken there by Adams. Gomez slamming his helmet as we head to a break.
They also weren't able to do that last night. They trailed by 1 here in this game. The 6th inning after, however, the Cardinals with 6 hits and 4 runs. And a lot of that came after the great prediction of my partner, Dan McLaughlin.
They try to sneak one by him, and he puts one in the seats. Holiday out to deep left center field. At the track, at the wall. Goodbye.
Outstanding timing. And we wonder what Mr. McLaughlin may have up his sleeve here tonight. And Mike Matheny probably thinking about different things than that right now, but certainly trying to find a way to get his team some offense here against Marco Estrada.
Here's Tony Cruz. And Cruz hits it out to center. And, oh, what a catch by Gomez as he takes a hit away. The defense of the Brewers tonight, exceptional.
Very good speed in center field. He had a frustrating at bat. He took it out on Tony Cruz defensively. I think he's still frustrated from that at bat. He kind of had the mad face on after making the play. But I'm sure he feels a little bit better after that gem.
And 3 lefties coming up. And that'll be it for Lance Lynn, who strikes out 10. So with the lefties coming up, Cardinals will go to their bullpen. Randy Choate is throwing. No earned runs allowed by Lynn tonight. Remember last year, Johan Santana, Carlos Beltran looked to be a hit down the third base line. That was ruled foul. Tonight looked to be a hit, ruled foul for Matt Adams. And Marco Estrada pitching here in the 6th inning with 1 out and no hits allowed. Up and in to Robinson. He's been getting ahead all night. The first pitch strike, 17 of 18. We saw Carlos Gomez, cursing, looked to be, or at least frustrated, certainly, slamming his helmet. Remember, he was knocked down earlier in the game, then popped out. And Lynn screaming back at him, too, as he left the field. 2-2. Slicing into right and foul.
Very close to hit number 1. So you think a little boys being boys there, Gomez and Lance Lynn?
I do.
And on that point, I agree with you.
I'm not going back to Gucci on it.
Hey, we haven't disagreed in a while, Dan. I'm getting kind of scared, actually.
We never disagree. Little soft liner hit to second, and Jeanette is there. One thing we'll agree upon is that Lance Lynn was a lot better here tonight. The Head and Shoulders whip package.
He was terrific tonight. The 10 punch outs, and he got it off on the good foot with the strikeout of Aoki, and he was able to elevate that fastball pitch with passion tonight. There's one on a curveball. Again, that fastball up in the zone. And Lance Lynn, head and shoulders better than we've seen in his last 6 starts.
Good changeup here by Estrada, 0-2. Matt Carpenter has struck out 2 times tonight.
Mentioned that Estrada has that good changeup. Pitches inside. You have a good changeup, you have to pitch inside. Sets up that changeup away. He's been 0-2, 1-2 quite a bit.
The 0-2 to Carpenter.
With all the gas we've seen lately, Dan, in that Cincinnati series, you started to get the feeling that you couldn't pitch at 89, 90 miles an hour anymore. But Estrada's doing it. That is a straight 88-mile-an-hour fastball that Matt Carpenter didn't get a good swing at. Isn't that amazing? I mean, 88 to 103 of Chapman. That is some kind of variance.
On 1-2, it's off Estrada to Ramirez. On his way to first, offline base hit. The Cardinals have their first hit of the night.
I think Estrada got hit pretty hard there, too. This could be problematic for him to continue. See him limping around. That might have caught him on the ankle. We'll have to see what he starts to deal with when the trainer gets out there. Side of his foot close to his ankle on his right side. That's where he's going to be pushing off of. And, you know, there's a lot of areas there where if it caught him wrong, that could be tough for him to continue. There's the ouch. One more look at it. On the follow through, it's going to be his right foot or ankle. And that's not really a glancing blow. He took that hard. And he's still limping around the mound right now.
Yeah, Carpenter may have knocked him out of the game. The Cardinals starters, meanwhile, with Lynn Dunn, 2 runs combined in 32 2/3 innings in this homestand.
They may let him go a little bit, but if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, why let him go much longer? They may have more to lose than to gain right here. And you have a sense that that kind of injury might swell up a bit. One more look. The right foot. Maybe more the heel than the ankle.
Check on Carpenter. So 17 straight home games. Carpenter has reached base safely. Now it's Jay with Holiday on deck. Jay, liner out to left. And slipping again is Logan Schaefer. Remember, he slipped earlier in the game. Some of the turf coming up. That gets over his head. Carpenter scores easily. Put on the brakes. 1-0. Southeast Missouri State Redhawks, Southern Illinois Salukis. They'll play in the Busch Stadium Classic presented by Southeast Health on Saturday, September 21st. And tickets are available at cardinals.com/football.
Chevy called the bullpen. Randy Choate, left-hander, 56 appearances, has had a very decent year. ERA in the mid-2s. And that's an exceptional whip, 1.09. That's walks plus hits per 9 innings. Very good number. And with the lefties up this inning, we'll see the shorter bench of Ron Renicky, what he decides to do here against the lefty Choate. Leave the lefties in with a 1-0 lead, or switch your lineup around.
The first pitch is a slow roller and foul.
Here's the dilemma with and I want to say he's a short bench. He just doesn't have the expanded roster bench that Mike Matheny has. There are times where you can switch your roster over and then switch them back later. But if he brings his right-handers in now, those right-handers will be facing right-handed gas, perhaps in the 9th inning.
Doug Melvin, the GM of the Brewers, has talked about essentially doing what you do for the postseason, for that playoff game, the 1-game playoff. To get into the division series is just enter your roster in September, and it can be manipulated, but either 28 or 30 men on that roster, and it can change night after night instead of having the potential of 40 guys called up. Betancourt is on deck. Cora Ugol, big Cardinal fan, turning 92 years young today and watching Cardinals baseball. So happy birthday to Cora. Doesn't miss a game on Fox Sports Midwest. 2-2 the count.
You could really manipulate your pitching if you had such a rule. And I'm not sure I like that, because you'd be taking relievers on and off based on whether they pitched one day, and you'd probably take all your starting pitchers off. And I mean, you end up probably in the same spot after it's all said and done.
Taken by Adams for the out. One away here in the top of the 7th. Some major changes with this Cardinals bullpen. Opening day on the left, and tonight what you see. The weapon that Segrist has become. Mejica now your closer. Cardinals have added John Axford. Mitchell Boggs now with Colorado.
And a couple real difference makers on the right, Seth Maness and Kevin Segrist. And there's Maness getting loose. I think he really pitched well at a time where the Cardinals needed him. When they first called up Seth Maness and we weren't sure who he was. I mean, we knew who he was. His minor league numbers were terrific, but was not really one of the top 5 Cardinal prospects at the time. But he came in and did such a great job of getting out of jams, getting the double plays, and the relievers that followed were good as well, including Segrist.
It's the kind of guy that, you know, most teams don't have a particular pitcher in their bullpen that they say, and there's Segrist, but hey, a guy gets on, we're bringing you in specifically to get that double play. He's that good, knowing that he's coming in to do the job for a double play. If Mejica, who did not look overly sharp last night, would be unavailable, you'd have Rosenthal as your closer. Segrist turns into the 8th inning man.
There's something about having live arms in your bullpen in October that's very appealing. You think about those moments in postseason play where you need the strikeout and that everybody's kind of on edge and amped up, and to have a guy like Carlos Martinez, I think he could be a difference maker for this team in October.
Speaking of postseason, down to 18. The top postseason moments. Tune in at 6:30. Toyota Cardinals Live, and the countdown continues. 2011, Mark Zipchinski shut down Prince Fielder. That was a huge difference in the series with Milwaukee, and the kind of difference that a good lefty could make. Really neutralized the power of Fielder. Two outs. Schaefer looks at a ball. Here's a 1-0. Misses on the outside corner.
So of the three left-handers, Ron Renneke decides to just make a switch with one of them and go to the right-handed batting Betancourt, who just bounced out. And that way, if those guys again come up in the ninth inning in an RBI situation, you're not stuck with righty against righty at that point, which could be Manus, could be Rosenthal. So,
and a ground ball.
He's betting that's going to become important in the ninth inning.
Time to stretch. Good work by Randy Choate. Part of the lineup coming up for St. Louis. Number was playing. Cardinals score 6 runs. You can celebrate tomorrow by getting a 50-cent any size drink at your nearest On the Run. It's Holiday, Beltran, and Matt Adams against Marco Estrada. Estrada has allowed 1 base hit. This is a Cardinals team that is first in average at 268, first in doubles, first in RBIs, but Estrada shutting them down.
Good inning for you to call a home run, Dan. Keep your streak alive. 2 in a row.
Putting some pressure on me.
Well, you thrive on pressure, though. A Holiday, Beltran, Adams, they're all good choices. I'll leave it to you to decide. You're the one with the streak going.
I would say, though, this is the inning they will score. You and I were talking during the break. Little surprised to see Estrada still pitching in this game, dealing with the comebacker that hit off the leg.
Ron Renneke certainly knows his personnel, but you just wonder what the upside is. Giving up 1 hit through 6 innings, and the Brewers are going to try to be a spoiler. We mentioned how they play the Cardinals a number of times. They play Cincinnati. They play Atlanta. They're going to put their best foot forward. so to speak. But when you get drilled the way Estrada did, you just wonder whether there's some swelling there, and maybe that's part of the reason he's still in. He gets better. Not many pitchers can say that they've got numbers like Estrada's.
Crowd tonight at 35,134, and over 7,000 tonight of those tickets distributed to first responders and military. And again, you can go to cardinals.com/heroes. Free tickets, military, retired, active, and first responders for tomorrow night. Big gap in left center. Here's a 1-2. Holiday, base hit. That may get the bullpen active now. Well, you've known for years StubHub is a great place to find the seats you want. See Cardinals live, home or road, and you'll earn fan rewards. StubHub and StubHub.com.
Holiday had hit Estrada well in the past. Daniel Descalzo and he probably better than anybody on this Cardinal lineup tonight. Beltran walked in the second and struck out in the fourth.
Well, Beltran, I will say this. He's due.
Oh, that's not saying it, though, Dan.
He's due. 1-0 pitch instead of check on Holiday, who has about a 2-step lead at first.
I could take you saying he's due as you think he's going to hit a home run. Or I could also take it as it's been a long time since he has, and he really should hit a home run. Should and will are different words. Come on, Dan, get off that fence.
It's pretty comfortable on the fence right now. This would be a good pitch to do it, though, on 2-0. Looks at a strike on the inside corner. The zone has been fairly big tonight, Rick, I would say, and also some low strikes along the way.
But another example of Estrada pitching in well. 2-0 count, trying to get Beltran to jam himself, and it did look off the plate. I like the big zone, frankly, but yeah, I would agree. There have been some pitches. Aoki struck out on one very similar to that pitch.
The 2-1. And Beltran lifts a high fly ball out to left. Schaefer makes the catch. Throws a strike back into the bag at second. One away, and it brings in Adams. Logan Schaefer getting a long look in the outfield for Ron Renneke. Byproduct of the suspension of Braun, to see somebody stepping up to be a fourth outfielder next year.
Well, they already have had a guy step up and have an outstanding season. We're just not seeing him in this series. That's Chris Davis. Really hit well when he first got put into left field, over 300, and he's been dealing with a wrist issue, so that's why we're not seeing him in this series.
2-0. Pitch.
Matt Adams now has a beef with two of the four umpires. Lost a hit earlier, lost a strike there. Still a hitter's count, 2-1. Looked like that was a pretty good pitch to hit.
The Cardinals are 11-3 this year against the Brewers. Ties their win total of 2005 against Milwaukee. And Adams hits it a ton out to center, but that'll stay in the ballpark. Not quite enough left. Gomez makes the catch, and back to first goes Holiday.
That's a good at bat right there. He just missed it.
John Axford has been warming up in the bullpen. The former Brewer may see his former team. Rosenthal was also up for a bit. And Trevor's wife is due to give birth any day. It's good to see that Jason Mott, part of the pregame show, telling Jim Hayes he's starting to at least throw. Now 4 months into his rehab, Tommy John, in early portion of this season as Holiday stays put. Mott has been very active in the community with his time away from the ball club. Many charitable efforts he's been a part of. Right down the middle to David Freese, 2-1. Estrada is due up first for the Brewers, looking ahead to the top of the 8th. Three-one pitch to David Freese. Here it comes. And he walked him. Answer our Twitter poll, a cold beverage. Rick said, why not all 4?
So I won. I'm not surprised. Are you?
Not at all. We enjoyed some scoops from Ted Drew's earlier tonight. Or thanks to the folks at Ted Drew's. Every Wednesday, our booth becomes at home very popular when Ted Drew's arrives on the scene.
Every day should be Wednesday.
Take that. Ron Renicky will go to his bullpen when we come back. transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Brandon Kintzler into the ballgame, his 62nd appearance, and the right-hander will face Daniel Descalso.
Cardinals got to him in Milwaukee when we saw him there, but he came back the next night, pitched well. He's been a very durable and, I would say, good part of their bullpen, and they've had bullpen problems. There's no doubt about that. Their closer kind of has come out of nowhere. Their rookie closer, Jim Henderson, has 24 saves. But this club has a lot of work to do between now and next spring training, trying to figure out what pieces work, where do they start, what do they kind of start over with, who's ready in their minor leagues, where do you spend money. I mean, there's a lot of decisions they have to make. How do they deal with their left fielder?
Is he the same player when he comes back? Minor league system not considered an upper echelon, upper tier minor league system right now. Just the second time tonight the Cardinals have a runner at second base. Descalso looks at strike one. Daniel tonight is lined out. And then a very good play by Scooter Gennett robbed him of a base hit back in the fifth, over 2.
More confidence here with the right-hander facing Descalso than bringing in a lefty to face a right-handed pinch hitter off the Cardinals bench.
Descalso, that's fair. We are tied. Holiday being waved in, and Daniel comes through here in the 7th. 1-1.
They gave Daniel Descalso the third base line, and he took it. Late swing, just inside the bag. No chance for Ramirez. Here comes Holiday. And as Mr. McLaughlin correctly anticipated, the Cardinals were going to score this inning, and they did. Stay hot, Dan.
You and I need to go over lotto numbers after our post-game hit. You have those tickets to Vegas too? Here's Tony Cruz lined out. Good play by Gomez last time up. Go-ahead run is Cosma now at second base. Pete Cosma pinch running for David Freese. Way to go, Daniel Descalso. Colton Wong has moved to the on-deck circle, and the crowd now into it. (102) Cruz inside, 2 balls, no strikes. For fans that have tuned in late tonight, no Yadier Molina dealing with a family issue, not even at the ballpark, so it's Tony Cruz tonight as your starter. And a chance to do some damage here. A 2-0 pitch to Tony Cruz.
Kintzler relieved Marco Estrada on the 19th of August in Milwaukee. A game where the Cardinals came back to win 8-5. And Kintzler gave up 6 hits in that 8th inning.
Three and 1.
As I mentioned, he came back the next night, pitched well, pitched a scoreless inning.
Cruz hits a liner to third. backhanded on a short hop, and a nice play made by Ramirez. Descalso has tied it up. 1-1 after 7. Sports Midwest. Let's go to our studio and a Bomberito sports update. All right, Pat, thanks. Great job as always. Descalso shifting to third base now. Cosma stays in the game, and Daniel is our Nissan driver of the game, as you talked about, Rick. They gave him that third base line. He just takes it right up the line and ties this game up.
That late swing, you wonder whether he was actually trying to push the ball over there with Ramirez way off the line. Whether he was trying or not, very successful at bat. Good at bat by Descalso. And now it's our Chevy call to the bullpen, Trevor Rosenthal. 96 strikeouts out of the bullpen. Big number,
I'd say. Saw him pitch last night, struck out the side, and that pitch at 95.
I believe I saw where Mark Littell is the only Cardinal to have had more strikeouts out of the bullpen. And Littell would have pitched a lot more innings, I'm sure. Kind of a 2 or 3 inning guy a lot. And a big live arm as well.
Two balls, one strike on Halton. Came into the ball game, took over at first base, and now in the 9th spot in the lineup for Milwaukee. It's Halton, Aoki, and Segura. I mean, there is nothing fancy about Trevor Rosenthal. He just rears back and says, here you go. 2-2.
Not fancy, but effective.
Leadoff walk. May not see Rosenthal tomorrow. In baseball, the rule that you can leave the club, the paternity leave for the ball players, and that may be the case tomorrow. Time will tell. It's a leadoff walk. and that is not good. Aoki, 2 hits tonight. Very good bunter. Could see him, though, also showing bunt and then slapping one the other way. We've seen him do that before.
Oh, yeah.
Puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Showing bunt, gets it down. Adams, underhands to Carpenter, covering the bag at first.
How about the bat control there by Aoki? That's fun to watch. We talk about how bunting can be difficult, and we argue about that. Al and I love to argue about that one, whether bunting's easy or not. But it's not that easy. You know, he just did it to an art form there. Perfectly placed.
Can't believe you and Al would actually argue.
Well, we disagree. Better word.
Al never argues. That's on you, I guess.
Probably.
Your attitude, never happy, smiling. Al, you know what you're getting night in and night out.
We love him.
Gene Segura, 1 out. Go ahead run at second base. Fastball and a strike.
I would go one step further. I would say for most people to be at the plate, forget bunting against Rosenthal. I would say seeing the baseball is hard enough. Forget bunting it. By the time it leaves his hand and gets to you, less than half a second.
Another really good block there by Cruz.
Done that a couple of times here tonight. Again, it starts with having the heart to move that lower half and slide to the right, work hard. You can't kind of just be nonchalant about it. Be running back to the screen.
The Brewers have had their issues in their bullpen all season long. Ron Renneke with Kinsler and Henderson in tight games normally. Kinsler, usually their 8th inning man. Brought him into the 7th. Cardinals and Descalso coming through. Tied up at 1-1, and here comes a big pitch in this game. 2-1 on Gene Segura.
You have a bit of a problem when you play the Brewers. They're a really good power team, so you have to play your outfield deep enough. In this kind of situation, you can't let the ball get over your head, so hard to position yourself to be able to throw the runner out at the plate.
Lucroy on deck. 3-1 the count here on Segura. Lucroy has hit into a double play and struck out twice. Be careful here.
Outfield defense we're talking about. You have to respect the power of Segura. He has 12 home runs. Very good young player. He's tailed off a bit from when we saw him last, but still having a big year. Bad decision there. He sees that as a fastball down the middle, and it ends up outside with good movement. That is not a good 3-1 swing.
Cosma trying to keep the runner close on 3-1, or rather 3-2. He strikes out Segura. He may have chased ball 4 twice.
There's no question. But we know he chased the first one, and that one is about ankle high. 97 strikeouts. 3rd most strikeouts in relief in the National League. Kenley Jansen with the Dodgers. Chapman.
Those are power closers there.
One more look at this. Definitely down in the zone. Over anxious in that at bat. Segura trying to be a hero.
Good cut by Lucroy. Strike 1.
Got to believe he just didn't see the ball well.
Makes you think the way that he was swinging there. He's too good of a hitter to look like that. Oh, 1 pitch. Here it comes. Strike 2. Cardinals will have a pinch hitter due up, then Carpenter and Jay. Kinsler will be the pitcher. Nobody up and throwing for Milwaukee. What's he come with here on 0-2?
He's liked his fastball this outing, this inning.
Up the middle, Kozma to his left. Makes the play. Scoreless inning for Trevor Rosenthal. Draft Mark Home Tap System. Fresh draft Budweiser beer. Now available from your fridge. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Beautiful night here in downtown St. Louis. Glad that you're with us. Daniel Descalso, bottom of the 7th. Tied the game up. Colton Wong will be the pinch hitter. It'll be Wong. And then we'll see the top of the lineup for the Cardinals in Carpenter and Jay. They do have two lefties in their pen, Tom Gorzolani and Mike Gonzalez. But as I mentioned before, Ron Renneke here late season has gone with this right-hander, Kinsler and Henderson in tight ball games. So Rosenthal the 1 inning, no runs allowed. Colton Wong hitting 159 in his 21 games this year.
A couple of bench players have had some struggles pinch hitting, including Colton Wong and Brock Peterson. Mike Aldretti telling me before the game that he keeps preaching to these young guys, hey, don't think about your average and what your numbers are. Just try to have one big moment. You're going to get some chances here and contribute. Just in your mind, instead of overthinking, 8 at-bats, what you're doing in 8 at-bats. Just try to have a big moment. Let your ability come through, and I think that's a great message to these young players.
A 2-1 pitch, and Wong fights it off. 2-2.
Adrian Chambers has had a moment already off the Cardinals bench. He had a game winner against Pittsburgh Pirates.
The 2-2. Wong's speed becomes a factor in this game if he gets aboard. Out of play.
You wonder what his speed might mean to getting some action in October. Makes him an intriguing choice.
Sure does. I mean, Billy Hamilton clearly is a difference maker right now with Cincinnati. Not saying that Wong is Billy Hamilton. However, he does give the Cardinals threat of speed. Wong hits it sharply to second, backhanded very nicely there by Scooter Gennett. The Brewers defense leading the National League, as we mentioned before, in errors, but you wouldn't know that watching them tonight.
Again, they make the errors, but I think there's a range factor that you have to throw into that mix. We've seen Gennett range to his left. He's had good hands. We saw Segura make a play up the middle, a double play on David Freese. One of the best plays we've seen in the last month, I would say. Ramirez has decent hands at third. And a good play by the center fielder Gomez to rob Tony Cruz. The ball hit over his head. So defense has definitely been a factor in this game.
Carpenter got the first hit of this game back in the 6th for St. Louis. It's an out of play. Matt Carpenter gracing the latest edition of Cardinals Magazine. Very interesting story about how he changed his body. Lost 55 pounds in a short amount of time in college. You see him now. He keeps himself in tremendous condition. Read that story at cardinals.com/publications. Very, very interesting read.
You piqued my interest. I'm going to read it.
But it really it shows just how hard he works, what this game means to him. Remember when he was at TCU, played 5 years there, had an injury, had Tommy John surgery. And at that point in time was a corner infielder. Bigger guy, 55 more pounds on that body. That's going to make a difference. Now he's tall, slender, good range at second, and a leadoff man of all things.
Young hitters sometimes have to discover their best path. Is it the power path or the gap hitter path? Heard guys talk about that were names that, well, we all know. Tony Gwynn, George Brett. Ichiro had to make that choice.
One and two the count with one out, nobody on. Carpenter base hit into right. 2 hits for Carpenter, and now 57 multi-hit games to lead all of baseball.
He's a machine, isn't he?
Flat out hit.
That was not a bad pitch. That was a breaker. Down and in. Pretty good spot. Might have been a split. It was going down either way, down and in, and he stayed on it, head on it. Good finish. Another linea.
Here's John Jay. Big lead at first for Carpenter. I would think the Cardinals are going to approach Matt Carpenter this offseason and think about locking him up. Came up in 2011. Little service time then. Full season last year. Full season this year. So he's closing in on arbitration. So one guy's going to start making some pretty good money. Lead is even bigger this time, and pitch is taken for a ball. You really get the good insight in that article. Tom Klein and Gabe Kiley, Steve Zesh put together the Cardinals magazine, and interesting read on Matt Carpenter. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Instead, a check on Carpenter at first.
Having talked with all three of those guys on different articles and different pieces that they've done, and some of which I've had quotes in, one of the things I've been impressed with is how thorough they are about the facts and how committed they are to getting stories right and getting, I mean, it's very well done. It's very, very professional, and of course the photos are the best you're going to find.
2-0 as Carpenter took about 2 steps looking like he may steal, and you've been in this spot before where at times you lose focus on the hitter, thinking about the runner.
Yeah, you're going to run out of chances here. It's 2-0 now against Jay. Good hit and run count here. Kinsler knows that, so the concentration's still on first. That's one of those things, if you throw home and you don't pay attention to them, they'll yell at you for not paying attention to them. And then if you pay too much attention to them, make a bad pitch home. I mean, you really have to have good split attention if you're the pitcher at this point in time, because it is a good running count. You could just imagine, Dan, the tendency to want to put that foot down just a little bit quicker. That landing foot. Just think about that. I mean, boy, I don't want to be slow to the plate. And what that does to your pitching mechanics is the difference between a strike and a ball off.
3-1.
All right, I think he's going now. I don't have the signs or anything. I just think he's going.
Not going, and it's 3-2.
I mean, now.
On this pitch. A 3-2 pitch. Carpenter, the runner at first. And another check on him.
Reasons not to run. You worry about the strikeout, throw him out, because you want Holiday to have a chance to hit this inning. That's why you don't run. And why you do run is John Jay could hit a ball on the ground to one of those middle infielders, and Matt Holiday won't get a chance to hit. So you pick your poison. It's all a feel thing. There's no right answer. It's up to the players to execute it. Jay already knows if Carpenter's running. Carpenter knows if Carpenter's running. The pitcher doesn't.
There he goes, and it's hit out of play.
The decision emanates from there, number 22.
A 3-2 pitch again. Foul ball.
One other distinction, Dan, when you are running on a hit and run, the key is you do not want to get picked off. It's not a straight steal. You're not expected to get the same jump that you would get on a steal. So you want to be a little safer. And on a hit and run, about the 4th or 5th step down towards the bag, you'll look in towards home plate. On a straight steal, you'll just go straight to the bag. So it's a different kind of a break off the bag that Carpenter will have in a hit and run situation.
Pitch number 8 of the at bat, and he's thrown over now for the 6th time. Matt Carpenter at first base with 1 out. He struck out his first 2 times. Next 2, just like that, another multi-hit game. He is running. Take it for a ball. Very good at bat by John Jay. And look who's digging in. Matt Holliday has driven in Matt Carpenter 27 times this year. 27.
Matt Carpenter himself up among the league leaders in runs scored, something we don't talk about a lot with Matt, but he runs the bases well. That means he's driving in Carpenter, and folks are driving him in return. Holliday has scored 87 runs. That puts him 6th in the National League in that department.
So Holliday tonight 1 for 3. The 81 RBIs, 9th best overall. The man standing at second that leads the league in runs scored at 113. So runners at first and second. 1 out. Pitch to Holliday. Taken low. Beltran on deck.
The big strike zone has gotten smaller, and I don't think it's because the umpires made it smaller. I just think Kinsler's having a hard time throwing a strike.
Picking a little bit,
and the Cardinals are laying off Kinsler better than they did against Estrada. They chased on him a little bit more.
1-0 pitch to Holliday. Here it is. Holliday bounces it left side off the glove of Segura. Bases loaded for Beltran. A 2-hit night for Matt Holliday. The familiar intro music for Carlos Beltran, and 35,000 plus, most of them now on their feet.
Could have been better, but it's still good. Segura saves a run by getting a glove on it and keeping the ball close enough to him to keep Carpenter from scoring. Nice at bat by Holliday.
Ron Renicky goes to his bullpen when we come back. Bases loaded. Beltran due up. Pittsburgh has posted a win today. Cincinnati has posted a win today. The Cardinals have the bases loaded. They'll turn Carlos Beltran to his weaker side of the two, and he will face Mike Gonzalez. Chevy called to the pin. We saw Gonzalez last night.
He's got the crazy mechanics. Veteran pitcher from the left side. There's your situation. Carpenter, Jay, Holiday, the runners. Beltran's career numbers with the bases loaded include 10 grand slams. I'd settle for something less than that.
First pitch to Beltran. Ball one.
Ooh. That almost got over the shoulder of Lucroy. You can kind of see that live. It just looked like it had a funny hop, and I mean inches away from going over that right shoulder.
1-0 pitch. Beltran, little weak swing. That is foul as he was tied up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Against Mike Gonzalez, if you're wondering. Beltran 2 for 13. No RBIs. He does have a double. One pitch. Beltran hits it out to left. Carpenter will tag up. The catch is made. Here comes a throw. Carpenter will score, and the Cardinals have the lead 2-1. Beltran puts St. Louis on top here in the 8th.
RBI number 76 for Beltran, and look who scored again, Matt Carpenter. Fly ball deep enough. Pretty good throw by the left fielder, but no chance to get Carpenter. And Carlos Beltran, a very good situational at bat. That's his job there. Get the ball into the outfield, and he did it.
RBI number 76, and now it's Adams. Runners go. One stops, no one's there. The Cardinals lead it 3-1. Jay will score. The Brewers throwing it around here in the 8th inning. 3-1 St. Louis.
John Jay gets a good jump. Holiday does not, so he tries to scamper back to the bag. And Lucroy sees that he can't get Jay, but he tries Holiday. And when he throws it into right field, Jay trots home. 3-1 St. Louis. That's a big run.
Sure is. Insurance now. Mejica is up and throwing in the pen. The 1-0 pitch to Adams. Inside, 2 balls, no strikes.
Wonder if the shift came into play with that double steal. Why Jay was able to get a good jump, number 1.
Adams into right center field. This ball will get down. Now they're saying it's a home run. Adams, a line shot, right center, a 2-run homer. Hey, we're having some fun here in the 8th.
Adams off a lefty, no less. That ball was fair.
Chris Cuccione's off the hook.
He was quick to call that a home run.
He certainly was.
He jumped on that call.
I did notice that.
Emphatic, in fact.
This is just a line shot.
Off a lefty. And over the wall. The bench reacts.
Up and into Cosma. 5-1 St. Louis here in the home half of the 8th. 6th inning, and after this series, the Cardinals 12 hits, 9 runs, no hits through 5 in the first 2 games. The blink of an eye. Oh, baby, they changed this thing quickly. 5-1 St. Louis.
Fun that the offense showed up here. Run in the 7th, 4 in the 8th. It's the kind of player Matt Adams is. He may not have anything going on a particular night, but with one swing in the bat, he can be a game changer.
Man, that get out in a hurry.
Beltran contributed, sacrifice fly. That gave the Cardinals the lead. But who got things going? Who was the igniter? Who made it happen really? In my mind, it's Matt Carpenter.
The strikeout of Cosma. Big inning for St. Louis. They put up 4. Axford coming on when we come back. Cardinals on top 5-1.
On the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, Pat Parrish and Al Roboski will be at Lumiere Place. The Cards break it open in the 8th. They'll have the highlights, a big bounce-back start from Lance Lynn. They'll break it down, plus Mike Matheny's post-game news conference as well. A big blast tonight from Big City. And Dan and Rick, the Cardinals have done pretty well against the Brewers.
No doubt, Jim, looking at the head-to-head the last 2 seasons, the Cardinals 20-9 and hitting close to 300 with 89 extra base hits. Continues here tonight. So Axford getting the call against his former team. And John was talking about it the other day prior to the series. Our Chevy called to the pen. So the best thing for him was the change of scenery. And he said, I'm very thankful for what Milwaukee did for me and my family. Gave me a shot, tried to make the most of it.
Sometimes you just need a new start.
And that's what he said. I needed a fresh start. I've got one now here in St. Louis. We've changed some things mechanically. And it seems to be the right fit.
Speaking of new start, the best thing that's happened tonight is Lance Lynn. You look at this Cardinal offensive explosion here in the 7th and 8th, but I still say big picture, the most important contribution today was Lance Lynn being very solid in this start. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 unearned run, just 5 hits with 10 strikeouts. And boy, that's something that Derek Lilliquist, Mike Matheny could have only hoped for when they came to the ballpark today.
Swing and a miss on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Had a little run to it. So Axford taking advantage of an opportunity. Tony Cruz getting an opportunity tonight because of Yadi's absence today at the ballpark. Matt Adams getting an opportunity because of Alan Craig's injury. It's what September brings. Opportunity, and you either do or you don't.
Been saying that a lot, haven't we? Especially this time of year. 0-1 pitch to Gomez. Ground ball into short. Cosma is there. 2 away. Player of the game presented by Budweiser. Matt Adams 1 for 3 tonight. A walk and a 2-run shot moments ago in the bottom of the 8th. Boy, this team has been fun to watch here down the stretch, especially this homestand.
And the fans are responding. They're catching the excitement of September baseball, aren't they?
Sure are. There's strike 1 to Scooter Gennett. We are too. 0-1 pitch. Axford gives up a base hit into right. Throw behind Gennett. Backing up the play, though, Tony Cruz. Gendo will be the pinch hitter. Caleb Gindel started last night. They will not hold the runner on with a lefty up, and that is strike 1. The Cardinals 2 strikes away. 2 strikes away from win number 85. 1 strike away from win number 85. Gennett advancing to second base on the play. No stolen base. The 0-2 to Caleb Gindel. Fouled away.
Cardinals lock this down, Dan. That 85th win puts them 25 games over 500, which is their high water mark of the season. Been there a couple of different times. Playing very, very well in this homestand.
Got him! Axford against his former team as Cruz fires to first. That is a Cardinal winner tonight thanks to Big Matt Adams. Axford, Cruz. The Cardinals hold on. 5-1.
Outstanding start for Lance Lynn. Does not pick up the victory. Not in this game, but he picks up a different kind of victory. He has really reestablished himself in that Cardinal rotation with a 10 strikeout performance here tonight. Actually, this was a really good game to watch, Dan, from beginning to end. The Cardinal bats were silent for a long time, but finally came through.
Those bats highlighted in the 8th inning with this line shot from Matt Adams. Post game next.